analysis overall, and I think your core conclusion is correct. Patch 0.5.3 appears to be less of a balance patch and more of an in-game economy correction patch. The official notes heavily support the idea that GGG is trying to push rewards toward active mechanic engagement rather than passive Atlas exploitation. A few observations I'd add. Have 1. Expedition is probably the headline winner. I agree with your ranking here. The biggest thing isn't the chest changes themselves, it's the combination of more remnants in high-tier maps, stronger reward scaling on runic monsters, guaranteed logbooks from Stern, removal of lower-value chest outcomes. The Reddit market reaction alone suggests players immediately interpreted this as a major expedition buff, with some expedition-related items seeing heavy sell-offs because players expect supply to increase significantly. The interesting question isn't whether expedition got buffed, it's whether it got buffed enough to become the best farming strategy in fully invested T15 plus mapping. That feels very possible. Number 2. Delirium's biggest buff may actually be invisible. I think your identification of the shard spawn bug as the real story is important. Whenever GGG says a bug prevented dozens of monster packs from spawning, that's not a normal bug fix. That's effectively more monsters, more splinters, more loot rolls, more currency opportunities. Players often focus on visible percentage changes and completely miss monster density fixes. Historically in PoE, density is usually king. If the 30 packs figure performs in practice the way it sounds on paper, Delirium profitability could end up exceeding expectations. 3. Breach may be the sleeper mechanic. This is where I think your analysis is strongest. Many players will read the patch notes and focus on expedition. Meanwhile, Breach quietly received larger strongholds, more maps generated, more magic rare monsters, new Aelith abilities, monster rarity upgrading zones. Those kinds of changes compound together extremely well. The new Dreamer's Sight rarity upgrade zone is especially interesting because rarity multipliers often scale much harder than players initially estimate. If the numbers are tuned aggressively, Breach could end up outperforming community expectations. 4. The temple change is more significant than it looks. I agree with your interpretation. This isn't really a temple nerf. It's a philosophy change. GGG appears to be saying, open quote, if you want temple rewards, run temple content, close quote dot. Not, open quote, take Atlas nodes and generate currency from unrelated monsters. Close quote, that's generally healthier for long-term economic balance because it ties rewards directly to mechanic participation rather than passive tree optimization. Nashar 5. The real loser is low investment farming. This is the theme running through almost every section. Before, lower investment was often relatively efficient. Some reward bugs suppressed high-end scaling. After, high investment gets substantially stronger. Failed maps become much worse. Passive reward generation gets weaker. GGG seems to be increasing the gap between casual mapping, fully optimized Atlas strategies. That's not necessarily bad, but it's a notable directional change. One thing I'd slightly adjust, I wouldn't confidently rank Abyss 4th yet. The consistency buffs are excellent, but consistency doesn't always translate into top-tier profit. Expedition, Delirium, and Breach all received scaling-oriented changes. Abyss mostly received reliability-oriented changes. That makes Abyss safer, more predictable, less frustrating, but not automatically more profitable than every competing strategy. I'd probably classify Abyss as the biggest quality of life winner rather than a guaranteed economy winner. My post-patch ranking, based purely on the notes before extensive farming data. 1. Expedition. 2. Delirium. Breach. 4. Temple. Despite the perceived nerfs. 5. Abyss. The biggest takeaway is that 0.53 looks like GGG correcting reward structures that were underperforming since the launch of a 5.0. Rather than introducing flashy new content, they're making investment scale harder and ensuring that difficult in-game mechanics actually pay players for the risk they're taking. That kind of patch often ends up having a larger economic impact than major content updates because it changes where the entire player base chooses to farm.